Hello. How's everyone doing? I'm going to give it a few more minutes. I know it's a really early stream. Pretty sure most people, if they thought the stream was happening, think it's in an hour because I had to change the time because I realized I had to go get an oil change at 1:40 my time. And would not have been able to, would have been a very short stream if that was the case. Hey Simon, how's it going, man? See if I can get this dog to wake up. Nope, I think she wants to sleep. Morning, Falco. Hey, Stuart. So I just want everyone to know the thumbnail was a little misleading, only because it's in landscape orientation. So if you're not aware, the image we will be focus stacking is this one. Just doesn't work well in a thumbnail. The image that was the thumbnail, if you paid attention to it, is actually going to be one I use in a start to finish. Hey, Scram, welcome. Is one that I'm going to use in a start to finish focus stacking tutorial. So hope I don't disappoint anyone with that, but you'll see both of them eventually. I'm going to give it a few more minutes just because it's early. I don't think we're going to have too much trouble with this edit. Not entirely sure we'll finish the whole thing. But it should be a 5, maybe 6 photo. 5 or 6 photo focus stack. Maybe it will be harder than I think just because of the... I don't know. We'll see. Shouldn't be too bad. Hey, 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐢𝐚. Nice seeing you in here. Don't recognize your name, so welcome. Yeah, I think for probably most of the people in the channel right now, it is evening. The earlier I do the stream, the more Europeans I get. The later I do the stream, the more people I can get from States. What is the object on the dog bed? That would be a dog. Unless you're talking about the bone. She's not about the bone right now, apparently. Just wants to sleep, so. Yes, Graham, it's also 11 a.m. for me. Put up some pics on Instagram. Not sure what you mean, 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐢𝐚. All right. Well, I've given it a few minutes so we can get started. Oh, well, welcome from South Africa. That's awesome. Like I said, so this is going to be the image we're editing. I have a few versions of it selected in terms of what we want to decide on. I think the light in this particular time was the best. Well, let me reset this. This is the export that I did for Instagram. So it's these 5 photos, I think. Yeah. Nope, 6 photos. 6 photos. 7 photos? This one's brighter than the other ones. What did I do? Oh, we'll figure it out. Not too worried about it. And then this was at slightly later. I'm looking at the sky back here so you guys can tell what I'm looking at to know how much the light shifts. And I just think that the light at this point was a bit too harsh. And this is a wider version of the shot that I picked in case I wanted to use a wider version. I'm not entirely sure. I just think the light here is better. You can see it's a little bit warmer because it's earlier. But what I wanted to check first was if we warmed up these other photos, does that make them also perfectly reasonable to use? So let's warm up this one and see what it looks like. Let's check out the temperature here and the temperature here. So it's about 600 Kelvin more. So let's go back to that image. This one. This one. I'm looking for the wider shot. Here we go. So if we bump this up to be a bit warmer, how does the light look on the tree? So I'm now looking at the light on the tree and looking at the light here. I think this is going to be better. I also am not in love with the harsh light back here. So even though this composition where it's a little bit wider, I have a bit more to probably play around with. I think I just like the light more here. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think between all those? I will say the composition between these two is not very different, but just having extra real estate in case I wanted to crop in like down here is kind of important. And technically I could take this focus stack and probably blend it with this background if I really wanted to. Although it would add a little bit complication. I just think the light here is better, and this is probably the one I'm going to go with. So if that's the case, let's see where the focus shifts. So obviously focal plane here. Okay. Just need to make sure are these two images the same? Okay, shift again. Shift again. Where does the background come in focus? Not there. There? Both of those. Sorry, I'm looking at all the stuff in the tree. I think these are the same. I don't think there's a shift in focus here that's enough to warrant using both. Let's go to 100%. Oops. And make sure. Oh, maybe there is enough of a shift. Yep. I think there is. This is just... Let's go to 200% if I want CSI. I'm looking at the trees up here. It's going to be hard to see over YouTube. Let's just do a comparison view. Get rid of that. I'm just seeing if the left one is as sharp as the right one. And I think it's really close. I don't want embedded preview though. How do I get... Does anyone know how to get the embedded preview off when I'm in library mode for comparison? I want the full photo. Normally when I zoom in, it'll do the full photo. Well, crap. Does anyone know if there's a way to use the raw rather than the embedded preview? In library mode specifically. I know that it switches automatically when I go develop. I think this one's sharper. But I don't think I need to use both of these photos. I think I could use one. Let's go back to develop. Sorry, it's a little tedious, but I just got to make sure we're using the right images. This one versus this one. Maybe it doesn't matter. You know what? It probably doesn't matter. I'm going to use this one just in case. And then I'm going to check focus right here on these trees and see if it shifts between these two photos. If not, then I probably just took the same photo twice. Yeah. Okay. So I think it's these 6 photos for the focus stack. Yeah, I don't have an idea either. It's one of those things I would probably figure out if I wasn't streaming, but all right. So before we do the focus stack, just want to make sure everything, you can see the little micro shifts in the focus. All right. Just going to select these. It's a bit loud. Right click these 6 photos, open as layers in Photoshop. And then we wait a second because it's a decent amount of photos. Stream is probably lagging. At least it looks like it on my end. Sorry about that. Yep, definitely lagged when I opened Photoshop. So hope everyone's having a good day. I know there's only like 10 of you in here. Like I said, it's a pretty early stream. I didn't expect to get very many people. And probably should have scheduled it a little sooner, but it is what it is. This is the photo. If you're interested, this is the photo that's going to be in the 4th episode. So I have episode 2 and 3 done. Episode 4 is done aside from this photo. So as soon as this photo is finished, this episode is done. I would actually open up Premiere and show you some of the clips, but considering it uses so much video bandwidth of my computer, it's hard to stream and play stuff in Premiere at the same time. Hey, is it Camille? Kamal? Okay. How do I pronounce your name? Welcome. Good evening. All right, so these images are loading into Photoshop. I actually think it froze. So, not froze, but stopped mid-load layers, which has been happening weirdly recently. I don't know why. I'm just going to do the same thing I just did. You guys can't see what I'm doing, but still waiting for them to load into Photoshop. Hey, Juan. Or Wong. Sorry again if I mispronounced your name. All right. These are loading in, and then I have to make sure that the names are in order because it goes from front to back for focus stacking. Stream is definitely lagging a bit. Is it dropping frames for you guys? Because on what I see on my screen, it's definitely skipping a bit. I'm just not sure if it's actually skipping. Let's see, is there a way? I'm not sure if I can tell where the dropped frames thing is. Okay. These have loaded in. So 6 images to focus stack. The first thing I'm going to do is align them. Yeah, sorry. It should be fine now. I think it was just Photoshop loading. Or my computer just... Honestly, I don't know, because normally when I load Photoshop, it's fine. Yeah, I assumed it was just when it was loading. Could be this window that I have up over here. I might just get out of this and open it back up when I need to end the stream. I'll do that. Hopefully that helps. All right. Did this go through? Okay, looks like it did. I'm going to take a look at, oops, if everything aligned correctly. It definitely looks like it did. Yeah, something is definitely going on with my computer. 1 second. Something is eating a lot of memory that shouldn't be. Not entirely sure what it is. Well, hopefully it stays consistent. I just noticed that doing this is definitely causing some lag, so apologies. No, I'm using my desktop. I don't think the M1 could do what I'm doing right now, to be honest. Great machine, but streaming and running Lightroom and Photoshop all at the same time would be pretty difficult for that computer. Don't quote me on it. I haven't actually tried, but okay, I don't know why my scrub zoom isn't working. That's annoying. Why is it doing that? Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. Whatever. We'll just work with it. Not sure where my zoom is doing the box. Let's go into Lightroom and open this back up. Maybe it'll work. Nope. Okay. So everything aligned correctly. Sorry for the hiccups, guys. Just trying to figure out what's going on. Obviously, there's a shift here that I'm a little concerned about. Not sure why that shift is so much. Oh. Apparently, I undid the auto align layers. There we go. I need to figure out why the scrub zoom is not working. Really quick. Does anyone know? Okay. I'm going to close out of Lightroom. Maybe that'll help speed some things up. I don't know why scrub zoom is not working. I assume it's some GPU acceleration thing that's not working right now for whatever reason. But I can't zoom in and out of this like I freely normally do. So every time, if anyone knows, feel free to chime in. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not sure. Usually when scrub zoom doesn't work, it's because for some reason it's not detecting my Photoshop detected an error in your display driver. Okay, well that's probably why things are lagging. All right, we got to figure this out because this is going to be a pain in my butt if it doesn't work. I'm going to switch to full cam and try to figure this out. Sorry. Probably going to have to reopen Photoshop maybe. See if I can get it to work. Not entirely sure what happened. Maybe just a hiccup when I opened it the first time. So I'm going to reopen Photoshop, see what happens. Yeah, I was right that it's not working because the GPU acceleration isn't detected for some reason. So if you guys have any questions, now's a great time to ask while I try to figure this out. I did update Photoshop, I think, recently, but I don't know why it would mess with my drivers, but sometimes that stuff just happens. Hey, Justin, now that you're here, I just wanted you to know you commented on the Discord, and I let you know that I added you to the other channels, but you never got back, so I just wanted to make sure you could see them. All right. There we go. It's working now. I think something just happened, and that's probably why my computer started to seem laggy. I'm going to do this. All right. I have to open Lightroom back up and start over, but should be working now. But again, if you guys have any questions, now is a fantastic time to ask. Even if it's non-photography related. All right. Lightroom is open back up, and I'm going to open these photos into Photoshop, just letting you guys know what is going on. Huh, interesting. Yeah, that's the first time I've opened Photoshop, and that wasn't, well, maybe not the first time, but I don't remember the last time it's happened, so. Yeah, without scrub zoom, I'm, especially on a focus stack, I just wouldn't even want to work on the image. I know that sounds super pretentious, but not being able to zoom in quickly in and out of a certain spot to see if it's in focus would really bother what I'm used to in my workflow. So at first I was like, all right, we'll just deal with this. And then I tried to zoom in and out a bunch of times, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need to be able to zoom in and out quickly, especially on a focus stack. I think that's like I could edit a photo without it, but not being able to zoom in and out. Okay, here we go. All right. Thank you for your patience if you're still here. That is now working, so we can auto align these again. And last time I did a pretty good job overall, so it shouldn't be an issue. Oh, no worries, Justin. I just wanted to make sure. You don't have to, if you don't feel like talking or anything, that's perfectly fine. I just wanted to make sure you were able to see everything. All right. Things seem to be running a little bit smoother now. And let's check. So I may have needed to take more photos than I did for this image just because of how close I was in terms of like where my camera is. But I wasn't entirely like overly concerned with things being slightly out of focus, like this being slightly out of focus in the foreground. I just wanted to be able to capture most of this wood in focus. I will say, let's see, that at some point, pretty much everything, there's that, yeah. I think we got most of everything. I probably could have done a little bit more, but I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to try, and I know it's not going to work, but I'm going to try the auto blend layers to see what it does for stacking. I don't think it's going to work though. I've never been able to get it to work up to my standards in terms of stacking focus. So, but I want to try it for this one just because this one is a bit more complicated with so many images and a shallow depth of field right close to my camera. So, okay. I like to see what it used from each photo. Okay, this is actually not that bad. I'm unsure of where it's taking these parts from, because obviously those parts should come from... Where the heck is it getting those parts from? Okay, see, this is... I don't understand. Like, obviously I can fix this, but why on earth is it using the image that is for the background, like this part in focus, for this section, which is the closest plane of focus? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But we might actually be able to work with this. Let's take a look. I like to build on from one image to the next to see how well it did. So all of this part, it should be in here. Yeah. Like I said, normally, I think on this one, it's a little bit easier for Photoshop to do because it can tell that the focus is, yeah, obviously the sharpness complexity right here is a lot, like for example, using this image, it can tell that it starts to get soft. So if I turn this mask off, it starts to get soft right here. And all of this stuff is naturally soft. So it's really easy for Photoshop to tell that it's not in focus for that image. So I think we can actually build on here. This is probably the first time. Let's try it because I would like to know. See, there's weird things like this. Like, why is this out of focus? Right? So if I turn that one on and turn this one on, is that spot just out of focus in my images? Maybe it is. Maybe that spot just didn't get in focus for one of my images. I'm turning these masks on and off to see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so that's reasonable, considering this spot just didn't get in focus between my... Well, hold on. Yeah, I guess it just didn't. Which is weird because this looks like it's right on the same plane as this, and this is in focus. But see, those little things I'm not overly concerned about. But that would have been fixed by me taking more shots, particularly. So we're going to work backwards. And I'm basically just going to... I'm going to try to use this and see if we can get an image that looks good. So yeah, I'm going to 100% opacity and then mask out all of this stuff up here because I know for a fact this front photo, this stuff, it doesn't matter. That's going to get cropped. Now, I also know that this stuff in the foreground for this photo should be what's in focus, so I'm just going to paint those spots in like that. We might end up creating more work than we solve by using this tool, but I want to give it a shot. So this is the next one. Let's see what it's using here. So I can turn this mask on and off for this front photo to see what's behind it. And it's doing a pretty good job there. I will say that this edge doesn't look very good. So we need to include that to the best of our ability. But this is why I don't recommend just blindly using this tool, because it's spots like this that, like these little edges like this, that this would show up a lot in either print or after you add sharpening to the image. And it just wouldn't end up looking good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this mask off and then keep turning it on and off with my shortcut to see where that edge is and try to get a better blend there. And that's basically how we're going to work through the whole photo. So I guess this will be a good tutorial for not only myself, but also everyone else on how to use the auto stacking feature Photoshop has. But again, I don't even know if it's going to end up saving us time in the long run, just because, let's see, is that actually painting in? Let's find out. Yeah, it is. Cool. I'm going to undo. There we go. Because I have to go back and fix a bunch of little spots anyways. So, but we're going to try it. Don't think it hurts to try. And again, I'm turning this mask on and off. I know it's hard for you guys to probably see that, but considering I'm using a keyboard shortcut. Don't think I need to worry too much about. I think that edge looks way better than it did just a second ago. So that's looking pretty good. Let's fill in these spots on this mask. You'll notice that it's blurry right here because it's using this image. But I think that part's going to get cropped out anyways right here. So I'm not too worried about that either. Oops. Let's turn this mask on and off and see how much focus. Well, let's see what it's getting from the back image. Nothing. So I know for a fact that we want to use all of this. And this is the kind of stuff I hate, because if I turn this whole image on... Wait, what on earth? Either way, if I turn the whole image on, see this part that's blurry right here? That doesn't make any sense to me, because this image has a sharp version of that. I have no idea why it doesn't detect that automatically. So we're gonna have to fix that too. So I'm gonna paint in all of these areas with this image. Let's get a bigger brush here. And we're gonna have to fix a decent amount in the image, I think. I'm gonna turn this mask on and off. Because I have to get all of this in. So. Okay, we can use this. Oops. Let's get a harder edge. Smaller brush. And again, this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Having a little bit of blur between your sharp line of where goes to the photo behind it is fine. But this is why I never suggest just using the auto thing and then being done with it. If you ever printed a photo like this, it would look terrible. And I see so many people suggesting it. It's a little bit frustrating that people are like, here's how to focus stack. And then they just suggest the auto blend thing and then you're done. And I'm like, do you ever actually zoom into your... I know I sound super... It just frustrates me because I hate giving advice that isn't good. That would lead people in the wrong direction on how to do something. And I think that's one of the worst culprits that I see, but even other popular YouTubers. We're going to have to fix this. The other thing that really sucks is I think the auto feature does this weird thing. You see these little... Now there's like pixelated triangles here, even though my blend is like 100% here on this layer, on this mask, but you still see these triangles. I think Photoshop does this weird thing. We might not even, honestly, we might not be able to use the auto thing. It does this weird thing where I think it changes the actual photos rather than just masks. So I don't know what's... So if you guys can see it, if I zoom in, I'm unsure of what happens here. So I have only this image selected, okay? And then I have this mask turned off. Yet, if you look closely, you can see these little pixelations here. Do you see that? I know there's only 13 of you, and I hope you can see it. Otherwise, I sound crazy. But there's these little step pixelation things here. That's with the mask off and only one image selected. Because I'm pretty sure the auto blend thing that Photoshop does, it actually manipulates the image rather than just adding a mask to it, which just doesn't make any sense to me because now I can't fix this with the mask. I don't know why it does that. Let me just try painting and yeah, okay. I think we're just going to have to do it manually. Because as much as you probably would never see this right here, what I'm talking about, I'm going to know it's there and it's going to bother me. So I think I'm just going to start over and do this manually. Because for some reason, I also see them right here. I don't know if it's visible on YouTube, but there is some kind of weird artifacting thing here. And I don't know why. So I'm going to start over. We're just going to do it manually. Sorry, guys. I hope that makes sense on why I'm doing it. I don't know why it does that. Okay. All right. Well, we're 38 minutes into the stream and we're just starting basically. So let's try this again. Yeah, I'm sure it's hard to see and I probably sound a little extra with how nitpicky I am about that stuff. Now, if Photoshop's auto blend, auto stack, whatever you want to call it, didn't do that where it only masks things and I had full control over the image to mask stuff, it wouldn't have been an issue. I would have been fine going through and fixing all the spots. But the fact that I think it actually, it does something to the actual image. So like if I go to this image now, there's no pixelation there, nothing. It does some kind of destructive edit to the actual image rather than just adding a mask. Was the seamless fill button checked when you blended? Yes. Is that what's causing it, Justin? Is the seamless fill button, is that what causes the destructive edit to the actual photo? Here, let's try it. I'm going to auto align like I did before, and then I'm going to auto blend without the seamless button selected. Maybe that's what's causing it. All right, let's triple check to make sure this looks right. Yep, looks good. It does that well, which is nice. Okay, so we're gonna do auto blend again, and then I'm gonna turn this off. Judging by what Justin just asked, maybe this is what was causing some kind of destructive edit to the actual photo. And now maybe if I don't select that, it'll only put masks on, and it's not gonna cause what just happened. And we can do the same thing we were just doing. But this is why live streaming is great, because that's not something I would have ever known without someone chiming in and saying, try this. So thank you if that is the case. Let's go back to our spot here. Now I know it looks messed up right now, but I think if I turn this mask on and off, yep, it did not hurt the actual image. So that must be what it is. But it also means we have a little bit more work to do, but we can go back and start from where we were and try this again. So Justin, thank you for mentioning that so that I tried it. I appreciate it. Okay, back to where we were. We're gonna do exactly what we just did. I'm gonna fill this right side, bottom side for this front image, because I know this is probably the most in focus for this little area. Probably right there as well. And we're gonna get rid of this. I don't care about any of that. This is all gonna get cropped out, so I'm not worried about that. Let's turn our image on behind it. And then I'm gonna turn my mask on and off for this image. And we're gonna fix this edge just like we did last time. Justin, thank you again. Awesome. Mentioning that, I wouldn't have even thought about it just because, again, I never use that tool. So, but that is why live streaming and having people on here is fantastic, because I get to learn things just as much as you guys probably get to learn things. Okay. That edge looks much better than it just did. I think that looks pretty good for what we have. And again, I'm just turning this mask on and off. Okay. We can definitely use this part. Well, hold on. Nope. It's more in focus than the other image. Interestingly enough. So I'm actually going to fill all of this in for the image behind it, even though I'm not using any of this information. But just in case I do want to, I'm just going to fill that in. I'm going to go back to the top image, come up here, turn this mask on and off. Okay. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's turn this image on. Let's turn this mask off. Okay, so all of this from this image is correct. Or should be in focus right here. So we need to work on that. So I'm only going to be editing the mask on this image. We're going to do what we were just doing. Basically, we're now caught back up to where we were. And I'm using the button above enter, backslash, to show this red outline. So I know I have the mask turned off. It's hard to work on this when the mask is on because I can't see where the edge of the photo. Here, what I'm trying to say is I want to be able to see this edge. When I have the mask turned on, I can't see where I'm trying to paint into. So what I'm doing is I have the mask turned off, but now I can't see where the mask is. So then I'm using that button above enter, which is backslash, to enable this overlay so that I can see where the mask is. I'm kind of working with that, just so everyone knows that that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to come in here and try to get this edge much better than it was. Again, it doesn't have to be picture perfect. It just needs to be much better than what Photoshop did. I'm going to stop here because I don't know if that area back there is in focus on the photo behind it or not. But I know for a fact that all of this stuff is in focus in this photo. So, well, at least the best focus out of all the images to choose from. I'm not overly concerned about this little spot right here being out of focus. We might come back to that with a later image. Let's turn this mask off. Just gonna paint here so I know. Turn it back on. And this spot's out of focus anyways, I think. So, okay, let's fix this little edge. You can see it was a little jaggedy. There we go. Okay. I'm going to zoom back out, and then I'm going to turn this mask on and off. Okay, we still have some work to do here. Turn that image off. I'm going to actually just paint in pretty big here and then come back and fix it. I'm painting with black, so that's wrong. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to paint in and then fix the edge in a second. So you can see I'm just gently going back and forth. And like I said, that edge is not going to be, doesn't have to be pristine. Just want it to be decent. So this is going to be a little tough. And this is the tedious part of focus stacking. I should have let go of the mouse there. I'm going to let go so that if I undo, I don't miss that, because I got it the first time. I have to get quite small. And I know I'm being super, there we go, particular about the details here, but that kind of stuff is important to me, so even if no one ever sees it. I think that's probably pretty good. So if we turn the image on, nope, doesn't. I need the one that gives me the ground in the background. There we go. Let's see. What's going on there? Didn't I just fill that in? Oh, maybe it comes from this one. Nope. Okay. Just gonna paint in for this image. One thing I wish the auto thing did is it didn't, like, I wish it just left, since this is a bottom image, all this black space down, all of this down here, I wish it just left it in the image and only basically masked the parts that were in focus and just left the rest of the image in there, so that when they're stacked like this, if something above it isn't filled in, it still shows it. I know that sounds weird, but okay. Let's go back to reconstructing this. So I have the image turned on that shows the background to get an idea of this focus plane. And you can see, maybe it's hard to see on YouTube, but there's definitely too much blurriness between that line. And I think we can fix that. So I'm just coming in, painting on that line. That was too much. And I think that's one of the reasons that the auto thing I'm not a huge fan of. Because it does do this weird thing where all of the background images are also masked out. So, for example, what I'm basically trying to say is if I overpaint here, it starts to reveal nothing, right? And I wish that all of this was painted in just so that it makes me, it's a little easier to blend between these two layers. It's one of the reasons I don't like the auto thing, because now I'm going to come in here and paint in on this background layer, even though you're never going to see this stuff, just so it's easier as I'm blending this together, so it doesn't have any of that pixelation. Oh. I'm going to come back and fix what I just did. I'm going to turn my mask on and off. Yeah, we can definitely get a little higher up here. Mask on and off. And yeah, this is pretty tedious. So this is probably the most images I've had to stack with a focus stack. Normally I'm at about 4. I think this is definitely one of the more complicated focus stacks I've done in terms of how many images there are and how big the plane of focus shift was. Switch to a bigger brush here. I do not like... I'm not going to worry too much about that little spot, but I'm not in love with that blend. Okay. I think that's good enough for now. Oh, no, it's not. I need to put all this in here. So you can see at this point, why wouldn't I just do this myself? Considering how much I have to do just to get this to work. Like, for example, why isn't all this painted in on this layer? Even if it's not used because of this layer, it's fine. Okay. Still not in love with that, but it is what it is. We'll figure it out. All right. Let's go to the next image. I think I'm going to turn this one off. Turn this one on. Okay, where is it getting... Oh, okay, that's that part. It's like, where is it getting that part? Duh. All right, so the next part is there. Looks fine. I'm pretty sure we're about to get to some troublesome parts, though. So let's turn everything on. So you notice Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. It's weird because this part looks in focus, but back here is not. Not entirely sure why that is, but that's okay. I think that was just part of how I took the image. I'm looking around. I have a lot of the images on now, and I'm looking around for these soft spots right here. All of these soft spots. Oh man, that's gonna be. Whew, that's gonna be a pain. I mean, see, like, what is this? What is going on here? Sometimes I don't understand how it gets stuff. Photoshop gets stuff right a decent amount, but then it just completely falls off with other stuff. Okay, so we need to figure out where these lines are blended between what two images. It looks like it's going to be this image. So if I turn this mask off, yep, that looks right. Let's make sure it's not this image. Yep. Okay, so we're just going to go through and fix all the spots that we see that are problems. So I have to come in here and do exactly what I just did on the last thing. It's mostly going to be these edges that are the problem. Okay, why is that happening? So because I used Photoshop's auto blend thing, I'm going to go back to this. So if I paint in here, it reveals nothing because the layer behind it, for some reason, decided to paint this part out, even though this part is the part that's in focus. So I now have to paint in this part. You know what? You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm actually just going to, I'm just going to delete the mask on this. No. I'm going to, wait, is it even using this background? Hold on. Turn these two masks off. Okay, yes it is. But I want to fill... I kind of want to just fill this entire blank space with black. Maybe there is a way to do that where it doesn't... Sorry, fill it with white. It doesn't get rid of the image from the back. Even though this is all out of focus, I still want it in there because the images on top of it are going to be on top regardless. So I'm just going to fill this whole thing in. Just like I just said. So now if I add this on and all of these layers, it's going to be on top of that to begin with. And I think all I really care about between these two layers is the ridge line in the background. This, yeah, that's all I really care about. So I'm going to just basically paint in everything down here really quick. And then I'm going to worry about these two layers at the end. And then this one, I'm not even going to have a mask on because there's no reason to have a mask on the bottom layer. Okay. That's a better way to start this. Don't know why Photoshop does it that way. What focal length? Oh, hey, Steve. Let's see. I think 16 millimeters. Nope, 23 millimeters. But I'm very close. Like this little branch down here, the one that's in the bottom right corner, is like where my lens is, pretty much. Okay, let's go back to fixing this line. I think this is what we were just doing, yeah? This one? Yep, that's what it looks like. Okay. So we're just going to come through and keep working on fixing this edge. What the heck is going on? Oh, I have the wrong thing selected. Did that last week. All right. Just trying to get this edge to look much better. Probably need a slightly smaller brush. I'm at about half hardness here, so there's still a bit of natural transition, but not as much as a completely soft brush. And this is the tedious part of having such an intricate focus stack. It's a lot of work, to be honest. Not the best streaming material, but I think there's definitely been some lessons to learn here. I don't really care about this. I think it's out of focus in both of these images. It's definitely a little bit more in focus in this one, so I'll just not too worried about that. Is it in focus in this image? No. Like I said, some bits being out of focus I wasn't overly concerned with. I was shooting at f8. It's possible I should have moved to f16. Okay. Let's make sure that is any of this more in focus in this image? I actually think it stops. It's actually better from this image, if I had to guess. So I'm going to paint in. We're going to work with this one now. It might be a little confusing what I'm doing, considering I'm kind of just going and trying to talk about it as I'm going. But I'm now using the bottom two images rather than the one that was right above it. Okay, so all of this is in focus in this particular image right here that I have selected. So we're just going to fix the lines here. Between these two images. Well, as best we can. I'm just going through and switching back and forth black and white on my brush to blend these two layers together. And I'm turning the mask on and off to see if it's in focus, which it definitely is for this part, as you can tell. So we're going to try to do our best to get this to look right without it looking too awkward. Like I said, a tiny bit of blur between the edge of this tree and the background is not the worst. But that kind of stuff really shows up when you start adding contrast and stuff. So I think that looks fine. It's not perfect. I need to fix this. Sometimes even I don't know what color I have selected on the brush. Let's see, is this in focus? Yeah. Okay, we need to fix this edge. Let's do that. I'm just going to fill all of this in really quick. And I'm going to come back and just outline it like that. Okay. You can see all this part's blurry right here. We got to fix all that. A lot of stuff out of focus right here, which I guess is all in focus in this background image. Yeah. Okay. Let's go through and fix this little hole. I'll check chat. Do I ever intentionally? Oh, of course, Falco. Of course. Many times I don't want everything in focus. On this particular image, I want it to focus stack, and I actually talk about this in the video that this will be in, specifically because I wanted all the texture of the tree to really stand out. So I think the coolest parts about this image, even though this image isn't anything spectacular in any way, is just how cool all the textures are on the tree. And without focus stacking, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Where the heck were we? We're up here? Yeah. But many times I do not focus stack, or I want things to be out of focus. And I'm not too nearly as concerned about focus stacking. So it just happens to be that this particular image, I wanted everything to be in focus. I will say that this is definitely a challenging focus stack. Specifically because of how many little branches are sticking out. And those branches are on different focal planes, meaning I have to go through and tediously do these edges. And I'll be honest, these edges aren't going to end up being perfect. And I could probably sit here all day making sure every edge is where I want it to be, but I don't have that kind of time. So I think if I thought this photo had more portfolio worthiness, I might spend even more time on it. But I generally don't think that it's like a super great photo in any way. I think it'll turn out. It'll be nice. Maybe it'll be even nicer than I think. But for the most part, I'm not like super excited to sit here and spend 12 hours getting this right, which I have done before on images that I thought deserved that much time. But sometimes you just have to pick your battles, if it were, when it comes to this stuff. So you can tell all of this is out of focus. I'm gonna have to fix that, because I guess all of this is in focus here. So maybe I fudged that up when I painted everything, but I don't think so. So I want to paint with black here. That looks decent. Yeah. Okay. Let's get all that in. Oops. Oh. All right. Let's get this edge fixed. I'm just going to do some big strokes here. And I guess this is the most, okay, cool. That's, down here is definitely this image for there, so I'm not as worried about that. Although, that looks pretty bad. Let's fix that. It's probably hard to follow what I'm doing again, just because I'm going back and forth on some of these images. And that's why sometimes I think it's just better to manually do this, because then you know where you're at, what you're doing, where all the lines are you're working on. I still have to come through and do this. None of this looks that great either, to be completely honest. I'm not totally in love with this blend. So normally what I would do if I was manually doing this is I would start from the back image and then start my way up. So I would start with this back image and then continue to add stuff as I move down the image, because I can follow where the focal plane is, and it would be a little bit easier for me to keep up with. So, hey David, how's it going? Yeah. All right, we're just gonna keep working. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, this is kind of tedious stuff, to be honest with you. Let's get an idea of where we're at total for the image. Everything down here looks good. Everything, this is gonna get cropped out. Everything here looks good. All of this looks good. This looks good. I don't know what's going on right here. So definitely need to fix this. So let's do that. Oops. And get that looking better. It's not completely in focus, but it's definitely more in focus than the other image, so. I think I would have had better luck. Better luck. I think I had better results. This was not a luck thing. This was a decision thing. Maybe if I shot at a higher aperture, maybe if I shot at f16. I thought f8 with 5 photos would have been enough, but if I had tried to take pictures with as many areas in focus as possible without focus stacking, yeah, so the only way I would have been able to do that is this composition just wouldn't have worked. Because like I said, here, I'll show you. Let me show you, I have a clip of how close I am to this. So let me bring it up really quick to give you a perspective on how close my camera is to, yeah, so that is how close I am. My lens is here, and actually, maybe this video will show you a little bit better. So you can see the bottom of my camera right here. So, and then this little branch right here is the one that's the closest in focus, this. And then this one that's swinging up towards the lens is right here. That's how close I am. I'm super close. And without focus stacking, or if I backed up, the composition would not have been the same. So specifically because I wanted this to almost come into where the lens was, it's causing me to have to focus stack. I know I'm complaining a lot about the focus stack, but it was a choice. Like, this is something I planned on doing. This particular one is definitely complicated and tedious, but that's okay. That's the choice that I made. And like I said, I think I'd be more excited to do it if I thought this photo was going to turn out really well. I think it's fine. I think the photo's cool, but I don't think it's anything like fantastic. Maybe it'll turn up when I edit it a little bit better, but I won't know until I actually get it done. So the first thing I have to do is get the focus stack done. Okay, that edge looks fine, I think. Maybe this little spot could be better. This edge is definitely messed up, so let's fix that. Sorry, I'm not talking too much. Like I said, just kind of going through and trying to find where these spots are. Something's going on here that I would like to figure out. Yeah, that looks bad. So let's blend between here. Yep, and let's blend this back in. Blend out of here. What's going on here? Okay. Well, that's going to be a pain in the butt, that branch. But let's just get it done. Interesting. The branch behind it is not in the same focal plane. So I think a wider aperture, sorry, not wider aperture, smaller aperture, f16 would have helped me. I shot at f9. And even though the difference in focus between even f8 and f16 is not gigantic, it definitely would have helped this because of how much distance there is between the front of the image to the back of the image. Something I should have done in the field. Probably just was on autopilot when it came to settings, and it's something I should have thought about a little bit more. Man, how did it not get any of this automatically? Like, this entire area should be the image behind it. I don't understand. I wonder if there's better software for focus stacking. I know there's this piece of software that someone recommended to me once that I've never used. I'm very curious how it would handle an image like this, because I do think that this is a pretty tough image. Oh man, this is going to be... I got to get in here. Trying to get this in focus. You know what? I'm actually just going to paint this whole thing in like that. Then I'm going to paint off the edges. The fact that there's so many of these little things sticking out between the photos definitely makes this harder. So this should be, yeah, we got to work on this some more. This blend does not look great. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint in everything. And then, nope, I think it was actually close enough where I don't need to do that. Man, I'm having a hard time seeing where this is in focus and not in focus, which is actually probably a good thing because that means on the final photo, it's also probably hard to see, but okay. Hopefully I can finish this in the next 45 minutes because I do have to go take my car in to get its oil changed. That doesn't look fantastic, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Let's get this one in focus. Not as worried about this one because it's so dark, but... oh man. There's definitely something going on here. Needs to be fixed, yeah. Just a little bit, not very much. Some weird pixelation going on here because it did not blend this very well. All these little holes here. All of that area. All of this is not blended correctly. That little spot. You can tell it's blurry right here. Well, maybe you can tell on YouTube, but definitely not how it's supposed to look. So let's go through. Yeah, let's just do this. This makes it a little bit easier to tell what I'm doing. Doing this pretty loosely. So, oops. Let's paint this back in. Okay. Just gonna paint in this whole tree here, because I'm almost positive that this part is, oh no, I guess it's more in focus with the background. So that looks fine. Let's go back to this. All these spots need to be painted in red. Like that. Man, look at that edge. That can't look good. Let's fix that. Here, you can literally visibly see the edge right here. Maybe it's hard to see on YouTube, but that's definitely not what we want, for sure. Okay, I actually can't see where the tree starts, so I'm just going to paint out that edge and then go back and paint in where the edge is that I can see. Like that. That's a lot easier for me. Okay, let's get rid of the red. Turn this on and off. Not perfect, but it'll do for now. Okay, I'm gonna keep going through, just looking for edges like that look blurry between the two layers. I think we're getting pretty close though. I think we're overall getting pretty close, which is nice. Oh, it's definitely an edge right here. Yeah, duh. Okay, so we're gonna paint in with red here. It is strange how much Photoshop does these non-anti-alias edges between layers. I'm assuming that that's what that tonality button does, but then it messes up all the actual photos. So definitely think that this part of the software could be improved. However, I suspect there's not a large audience requesting something like this because it's very much just a photographer thing. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's add the layers atop of it and see if, well, let's see if this one, okay. All right, all the layers are on. I still need to fix that edge. Let's see where that's happening. Right here. So let's fix that edge. Again, just going to paint out the red and then repaint on as I follow the edge right there. So I'm just going to follow the edge. Soft, half soft brush. Does a decent job at getting the edge where I want it. Again, it's not going to be flawless, but if I came in here and spent an hour on every edge, it would be rough. Hey, Annette, how's it going? Thanks for joining in for a second and watching the tediousness of this focus stack. Okay. Let's keep looking through the image for edges like that. Again, that one's not perfect. Maybe we could do a slightly better job. Yeah, we can do a better job. Let's do a better job. I'm just massaging it back and forth to get that edge a little bit sharper. It's going to be difficult. Usually it helps to use a smaller brush, but obviously it takes a little bit longer and you have to be more precise. Basically, all I'm trying to do is get that edge to look sharp rather than blurry. That is the objective. But it's hard because one image has a blurry background here, right here, and then the image behind it is not blurry. It is sharp. So getting those to blend correctly together is the entire challenge. And it's basically what we've been doing the whole time, trying to get it perfect. Let's go a little bit harder on the brush. Get a little bit closer in. Just try to paint away. Get it that sharp. I think that looks better. Let's take a look. Okay, this definitely should be in focus as well. So let's fix that. All of this is blurry. Let's fix that. A lot of work to do. And again, this is after doing the auto blend layers. So you could see, I mean, could you, I just couldn't imagine suggesting using the auto blend thing and then having someone edit the photo and just be like, okay, this is good enough with all of the problems that are in this photo from the automatic version. I would never, ever want to recommend that to somebody because it would just give them a terrible quality image at the end of the day. Sure, maybe you couldn't see it on Instagram. Absolutely. But if you ever printed or anything like that, it would just look awful. All right, so all of this is in focus. So let's fix this edge. This is gonna get, you know what? I'm gonna do the thing where I just paint this in. I'm gonna paint this in. Paint this in. And then I'm gonna come back and fix these edges. It's a little easier for me to tell where the edge of the branch is this way. Oop, did a little bit too much there. Hope everyone's having a good day. And I don't sound too salty about doing all this blending. I'm mostly just concerned about the entertainment value of sitting here and doing this one thing through the whole image. I mean, the truth is this is a part of photography, especially the more tedious parts. Sometimes a photo takes like 3 minutes to edit, and sometimes photos like this take much longer. So some people don't want to spend this much time on a photo. I try not to if I don't have to, but like I said, very specific to this photo, I just wanted all of that detail. Oh, we got to fix all this. Okay. Let's just fix this. I think we're getting close though. I think we're getting close. This is definitely a tedious focus stack. Thankfully, when I do the focus stack tutorial video, it's only 3 images, and I think it's going to be super simple. There's no branches or a bunch of focal plane things. It's just 3 images. It should be pretty easy. This looks kind of sloppy because it is, but I think it's fine. Okay, let's get in here and paint out the branch. There we go. So even if you're doing photography that's people, skin related, all that stuff, there are also things you have to do in portraiture fashion that involve tedious things like this that can take hours, to be completely honest. So it's not just limited to landscape photography. This is just landscape photography's version, I guess. But if you're doing frequency separation and all that stuff, in portraiture, it can take a long time as well. So I do have a Wacom tablet, but I feel more nimble with the mouse. I guess for years of practice of using a mouse when I'm doing edge work like this. If I wanted the adjustment of basically what you're saying, of the flow and stuff based off pressure, I would switch. I usually use it for blending exposures. In this particular case, I just want the precision of these edges. And even these edges don't look great. It's going to bother me. I got to go back in and fix it. But yeah, I have one sitting in front of me right now. I just have more precision with a mouse. So that's why I'm using a mouse. All right, we got to come in here and fix all of this. Does this get more? Yeah, okay. I'm just going to paint this in, and then we're going to fix the edges. That painted it out. Whoops. Oh, wait, hold on. I guess there isn't a huge, well, no, there's a big enough one to matter. So let me do that again. There we go. And come in here and fix the edges. Again, I am doing this very quickly. It's definitely a bit sloppy. And I will probably, even off stream, have to come back and fix a lot of this. Maybe, if I decide to. Or if I decide it's just good enough for the video. I'm also typically fine with that, because like I said, I do have a difference in my amount of time on an edit if I think the photo has a lot of potential or not. I'm not sold on this photo. So it will really depend on when I actually start doing the exposure blend of this, even though there's not another exposure, but basically dodge and burning. Yeah, the gaming definitely helps with the precision of mouse. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm the best, but it definitely, honestly, I should probably use the pen more just to get better at it. But my workflow just involves going back and forth between the two and just using the pen when I really need the pressure sensitivity. So, oh, that edge does not look good. All right. How much time do I have left? What time is it? Okay, we still got about another 30 minutes. I could probably do another 45 minutes, but I know for a fact there are 25 people on here just watching me paint between these layers, and it cannot be that fun to watch. But hopefully maybe you just have me on in the background and you're actually doing something productive, because I will admit that this is some tedious work. So I would understand if you were like, yeah, I never want to do this. I'm going to just shoot not focus stacked images or whatever. Completely understand. I will say normally they're not this bad. Man, that edge looks terrible. Going to do what I did before. Going to paint in the wood and then paint out the edge. I think I already did this section with the photo behind it though, so I'm not overly concerned. Okay. See how that looks. Okay, we got to fix this little part, even though I'm not that worried about it. Yep, good enough. This edge still doesn't look great. But I think it's good enough. Okay. Let's go and see. I think this part is too blurry still. Yeah, let's fix that. I think I just made it more blurry. Hello? Okay, there we go. Like I said, sometimes I don't know which brush I have selected because I've switched so many times and I'm not paying attention. All right. Mask on or off. Mask on, off. Okay. It's good enough for now. Let's go see if there's any more terrible edges like that. Still not in love with that one. But it is what it is. Let's turn on the other images, get everything turned on. I'm not in love with the edge between these two photos. So let's fix that up a bit. So my camera has an auto stack feature that I try to play around with, where you tell it how many photos to take and the distance and stuff like that. And I'm wondering maybe if I should have done that for like 15 photos and then just try to do the auto stack thing in Photoshop to give it as much information as possible and see if it would have worked out. I'm really curious if I try that out and just deliver as much possible information to Photoshop as I could and see if it would do a better job. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that it probably wouldn't. But oh, definitely something going on here. Let's turn these all back off. Yeah. Okay. Let's fix this. I am not overly concerned about this piece of wood being out of focus, but these blobs of trees definitely stick out to me. So gotta fix that. Now I'm definitely doing this part a little fast. So we'll see how this looks when I'm done. Probably will have to fix things. Well, David, I am glad Lily is loving it. Should I play some KDA in the background if I didn't get copyrighted? Just so you guys know, David is my lifetime best friend, and Lily is his daughter. So, Lily, hi. Welcome. Maybe you'll be a Photoshop guru at some point in your life. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, we've got to fix all this. I'm just going to do some big brush strokes here, though. Not as worried about this little area being out of focus. Whew. There's a lot of spots right here that look bad. Okay. Man, how did that happen? Thought I already did this branch, but I guess all the branches are starting to look the same. Oh man, all of this is out of focus. Ugh. Okay. Are any of these trees in focus on this layer? Nope. Oh man. Okay. That means I have to go through and get all this grass. The problem is, I don't really care that much about this grass being out of focus. But if there's just like one area that's sharp and then a bunch of blurry, blobby grass in the background, that's a very technical term, by the way, blobby. It's really going to stick out. So you just can't have it. So I'm just going to do this as best I can, but this is going to be tedious again. So all of this area, is this area also? Oh man. Come on, Photoshop. Why you do this to me? All of this could have been in focus. I wonder if I've messed it up when I painted this whole area in white. Maybe I did this. Maybe I did this to myself. You know what? Out of curiosity, I wonder what happens if I just go through and auto blend these two layers. Oh, did I hit seamless? Let's make sure I didn't have that selected. Cancel. Refine tool. You want me to use a refine tool for every edge? Or are you talking about the masks? That would take forever. Wouldn't it? Okay, it wasn't selected. Nicholas, I actually, when I was trying to play around with it, I thought the steps are too small. But I think in this case, maybe having as much information as possible would have been good. Okay, I'm going to delete this layer. All right, how did that do? Did that... maybe that worked better? No, still bad. I think that looks worse. Okay, I basically did the exact same thing that's already there. Meaning I gotta manually do it anyways. You can see all these blurry areas I now have to go through and paint in. So I guess it starts about right here. Let's see. Yeah. So all of these areas need to be painted in with red between these twigs and stuff. I don't actually care about most of those twigs in the background right there, so I'm actually just going to paint all of those away. It is entirely possible that this one right here I care about. Yeah. Otherwise it's going to look weird. Okay. Let's just paint this back into focus really quick. And then just gently do what we've done the whole time, which is just paint around it a little bit. It's not perfect. Like I said, I could probably spend 5 minutes on every single edge trying to get it to look pristine. But I just don't have that kind of time right now. So we're going to do a decent job. And that hopefully once I add in sharpening and all that stuff, it still looks fine in print. And I would never sell this, by the way, to anybody if I didn't think that it would look good in print. So if I end up editing this and I think I can do a better job with the focal blending, I'll come back and do it. And there are spots that I will probably find when I add everything in terms of contrast, stuff like that, that I know I'm going to have to come back and fix. There's just so many edges in this particular photo that have focal shifts that it is pretty tedious. It's funny because I think I started this video out saying this shouldn't be too bad. I'm pretty sure this is the hardest focus stack I've done. I didn't play around with mine too much, Nicholas. But it started to do, it was like very incremental, and it was going to take like 15 different photos. And I was like, oh, this has got to be too much. It wasn't for this particular shot. It was for a different one. And so I just did it manually instead of waiting for it. So maybe for this particular shot, it would have been good. And judging by how much I have to do on this photo in the first place. So, okay. Yeah. Oop, wrong button. All right. I will say I'm not going to want to focus stack an image for at least a week after this. A lot of the times focus stacking is a lot easier. Like for example, I did a video a long time ago, like a year ago at this point, I guess. And it was just 4 images, and the way it focus stacked is that the entire bottom part of the image, and then the next part, and then the next part, I could just blend using the lasso tool. There wasn't any like, it was basically like this part was in focus, and then this whole part was in focus, and then this whole part was in focus. This tree having all of these branches is what's really making this difficult and way more tedious. Probably not something I would suggest doing, especially if you're just trying to learn. And I think that there are absolutely cases where it's way easier to focus stack an image. So, whatever, good enough. I mean, I would have to come through and just be monotonous to every single one of these edges. Normally I am, but if I'm only given a 2-hour period, which I currently have, I have to be a little bit quicker. I would love to actually start the edit on this, but I don't know if we're going to get to it. So even though the title says we're only focus stacking, I planned on actually doing the edit, but I just don't know if I'm going to have time. So, like I said, we are zoomed in to 220% here, so a lot of this detail you may not actually see. Like, I could easily post this to Instagram and not a single person would ever know anything about what I'm doing. Literally, this entire process would barely be noticeable. I could have just posted the auto-blended one from Photoshop to give you perspective on your presentation of things, but that is not how I edit photos or how I look at my photography. I always think, well, if someone asked me to print this, would I be able to print it? That is my line for anything that I make, pretty much. Obviously, there are photos that I do post to Instagram that I would say, don't print this. Some of those vary, just because not every photo has to be perfect. Sometimes it's better to share a nice photo that isn't perfect, which I actually did yesterday. Photo was not perfect. Just because you can't, I don't know. I've tried my best to stop worrying about perfecting every single photo I take. Like in this particular case. I'm not as overly concerned about every single edge right this second to fix. So, okay. Gotta come in here and fix all this. All of these areas. And good enough. How about those? Nope. Sweet. Huh. Actually, I think it just looks better if I just paint in all of this. I'm not worried about it too much here. Probably stop right there. Wait, what on earth? Okay, I think it shifts right here maybe. Thank you, Patty. I might stay. Let's see, the car thing I have to do is at 1:40, and I think it'll take me 20 minutes to drive there. So if I go for another 40 minutes, I can probably be fine. All right, these edges are bothering me, so I got to be a little bit more tedious here. There's actual detail between these two shots, so I'm going to fill these in, get the shot that has all the focus in focus, and then I'm going to paint around these spots that are out of focus. A little bit more monotonous. All right, that looks good. Is this one? Yeah, I guess I'll just do this one too, since I'm doing it. There we go. Good enough. Let's see. All right, we are gonna get super deep here in pixels. I think my line for how detailed I get is if I start seeing the pixels, then I'm too zoomed in, and I don't need to worry about whatever detail it is I'm working on. So, but a lot of times, if I print big, this kind of stuff shows up. So, I know it sounds crazy, but it really does. Maybe there is a faster way to do this. I know someone asked about the refine edge tool. And maybe it would detect the edges well. My only problem is, would it detect the edges between two different focal points, like images? Because one image is in focus for this stuff and one image is out of focus for this stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I would love to know. So if you have more experience focal blending this kind of stuff together, please chime in. Does not offend me at all. Simon, the printing video went on hold just because of the rest of the stuff that was going on in my life. I still recorded the stuff, and my plan is before I leave on my next trip to have photos to sell on my website and also correspond with a printing video. But I have to reconvene with the guy that is helping me at the local print shop to get that interview done, because within the video, I wanted to ask questions that most people have to somebody that knows a lot more about printing than, say, I do. And that just kind of got put on hold just because of everything else that was going on. Quitting my job, probably moving out, living in my car, that kind of stuff. It'll still happen, 100%. I even contacted them last week, but it just got put on hold. It's absolutely something I still want to do. I really need to get the print store online, to be completely honest. So, okay, this edge looks terrible. So let's fix that. Absolutely terrible. Gonna have to just use a smaller brush, I think. Just panning around those dark parts that I can see that are in focus. Okay. Hope that answers your question. And sorry for the delay on it. I just had other stuff to get done, to be honest. It very much will still happen. I just don't want to half-ass it, to be honest. I don't want to make a video and then scrap ideas just because it's more convenience. I want to do the interview with the guy that helped me, or at least sit down with him and ask the questions that I had people ask on my Instagram, because I think they're important to answer. So, how far are we in? I don't know. I'll be completely honest. All these branches have become a blur. How did I miss this? Okay, I guess I need to fix this too. Which is funny that I use the term they've all become a blur, considering I'm focus stacking. Great dad joke there. Photography pun, whatever you want to call it. Oh man, I am tired of looking at this image. You know, this entire area, I'm not worried. Well, no, it needs to match up with the other stuff I put in. Let's just get it in there. Just gonna gently blend around that little branch. All right. How bad is this stuff? Not too bad. I think I can just paint pretty big here and get some of this in. What on earth? Okay. All of that can get painted in. I really wonder if I messed this up when I don't think I did, but maybe I did. Okay. Yeah, Simon, I just, it's still coming. I'm just going to put a tentative date on it. I don't know. I'm going to try to get it done this summer. I'd like to get, so my order of operations there was to get the print store online, get some prints done, and then make the video about it. To kind of not only promote printing, but answer a lot of questions people have about printing. Okay, let's take a bigger look at this. Turn all the images on and come back through and just see how things are looking. I think for the most part, all the actual tree is good, like between these edges, between this edge and the tree. That's not perfect right there, but it's fine for now. I think the hardest part is all this blurry grass that we've been working with between the trees, like spots like this, I'm not even going to worry about that spot. Maybe spots like this up here can be a tad better. So, okay. Don't care that much about that. Oh, this edge looks so bad. Yeah. Okay. Gonna go to a harder brush, just 100% hardness. See if we can get this looking better. Am I even painting with the right color at the moment? Yeah, okay. Just going back and forth and just painting in and out this edge. Pretty much. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. You know, at the end of the day, what I could do is... No, it would look weird. Okay, I think we're good. I think that's good enough. Let's go back and add all our images in. It's so weird that this particular branch didn't get in focus, even though I think I focused right here? Somewhere in this area. Here? I think it's on this branch right here. And this one didn't get in focus. Interesting. Okay. That's it. I'm done focus stacking this for now. I'm going to group these images together. And let's crop out all these parts that I know I'm not going to use. I'm going to hit C to bring up the crop tool. And I'm going to overcrop a little bit. Come down here. I know there's a spot here, yeah. And the reason that this happens... Oh, it's a little blurry right there. You guys see that? Hold up. What is causing that? Obviously, it is the blend between these two layers. There we go. Fix that really quick. And let's fix this really quick. And there we go. Good enough. Oh. Not good enough. Still looks terrible. Okay. What's going on? Which layer is... Okay, it's this one. Okay. Now let's fix it here. It's just a jagged edge right here. It looks terrible. Which again, I guess is just... I'm almost positive I could have saved time just doing this manually instead of doing the auto thing that Photoshop does. Which is a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. Why is it... I don't understand why it's adding... It's doing the jagged layer thing again, but I didn't use the destructive edit. What's going on? Maybe it's because one of these... Yeah, okay. Just gonna do it like this. Okay. Looks better, but it's still just jagged the whole way up. I think it's this. Yeah, it's this. Okay. Let's fix this really quick then. I'm just gonna paint away the edge and then paint it back in smooth. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Okay. This should be in focus. Yeah, let's fix that a little bit. I swear I could probably just keep finding these details over and over and over again. And at some point, I just have to accept that the image will not be done. I really hate how it paints all, like I want all of this in, and I just want to add to it from the layer on top of it. Like that. All of this should just be painted in on this layer. And then this fixes it. Yeah, much better. Okay. All right, good enough. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a second, stretch. It's tedious. So to do some dodging and burning, I'm going to use some curve layers. I'm not going to do any destructive editing, so I'm just going to leave those groups mixed so that if I need to change some focus, I can. And I'm going to create basically a dark exposure doing it this way. That looks good. I'm going to invert my curve. And the areas I want to target first to darken are these grassy areas. So now is a great time to use my pen. I'm not going to, but I might switch to it in a second. Let's bring our hardness down to 0 so we have a nice soft brush. And I'm just going to darken over a lot of these grassy areas. Just a little bit. These are huge brush strokes, not overly concerned right now. Let's bring this down a little bit more. Just trying to paint in some contrast, pretty much. I can darken up these spots a little bit. I don't normally dodge and burn this way that often. I have in the past. I think that's looking pretty good. So we know that's a dark layer. We can come back to that if we want to use it again. I'm going to make another curves layer to brighten some spots in the image. So let's do that. That's probably pretty good. I'm going to invert that curve again and select a, the mid-tone masks just never work for me. Well, maybe this will work. Let's try mids 1. Nope, that doesn't look good. Mids 3? Too much. Let's try mids 2. Use that selection, and I'm going to come in here and start painting in some light onto the branch, the wood here. So I'm just gently painting in some of these spots that are getting hit by that light already. I'm probably going to end up darkening this section down here a little bit. Not overly concerned about it. I really want the light to accentuate right here on all these roots. And I know it doesn't look like I just did anything, but this is what I've done. But it's hard to see as I'm making small adjustments like that. And I want basically my main source of light to be in this area. So I want the brightest part of the tree to be there. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm just gently doing it, like I said, with the mouse. This would probably be a little bit better if I just use the pen, but I'm being a little lazy. Let's go. I think that's pretty good to start there. I'm going to deselect my selection that I had a second ago. I'm going to go back into my dark layer. I'm going to turn the mask off to see what the background looks like. And I think I'm going to darken the background a little bit. So I think that's just going to be a brights mask here. Probably this one. Yep, looks great. And when you're using the mask, anything in white is what you're going to be targeting, and anything in black is what you're not targeting. And then I'm just going to use a big brush and come in here and paint. Let's bring up the opacity a bit. And I'm just going to darken this sky and these I guess I got to bring this up even more. Yeah, I'm actually going to deselect the mask and just come in here and paint in a little bit of darkness. Huh. Paint in a little bit of darkness. That sounds a little bit more ominous than I meant it. I think that's looking pretty good for now. I would like to target blue. I'm pretty sure there's a color one I can do, right? Blue. Oh, that didn't do it. Let's try blue cyan. That did not do it as either. Cyan? Nope. Let's try blue again. Does the modify thing work here? Oh, that does. Cool. So I'm now masking blue. Okay, that selection looks fine, I guess. I'm just trying to darken the blue. And I could do this a different way. I could just use an HSL or something like that when I get into Lightroom. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. I guess I stopped mid-crop, by the way, to go fix something. So I still need to do that. Okay. I think this is looking pretty good levels-wise. So let's fix the crop like I was doing a second ago. Just crop out that part. And the reason you have to do this is because when you auto align the layers, technically I think I'm supposed to crop down to here, I can see, but I think I'm going to just content aware that blue part and fix it so I get a little bit more real estate up there. But when you auto align the layers, some of the images get smaller, so your overall image gets smaller. I don't know what the heck is going on here. I'm going to have to fix that in the blend. So crop that stuff away. And go back in here and fix that spot. Hopefully my curves adjustment doesn't mess it up. But that spot should not be blurry like that. Opacity 100. Cool. That just stuck out to me when I was going through. All right. So this is the two adjustments we've made. We've darkened part of the image. And what? Okay. We have brightened part of the tree here. So I'm going to go back into my dark curve. And I could just make another curve adjustment if I wanted to. But I really just want to darken this part of the image down here that's already kind of in shadow. So we're going to select a darks. It looks like that is a pretty good selection. I don't think I actually hit the select button though. There we go. And I'm going to come back in and paint gently. So 10 to 15%. And darken this whole bottom corner a little bit. It's looking pretty good. I don't want it to be too distracting. I really want to darken this corner a lot though, right there. Perfect. Okay. Is there anything else I want to darken right this second? I think overall I could probably darken this whole section a little bit more. Basically what I want to do is darken everything to where I want it and then paint in the light where I want it. This spot isn't getting hit because of my mask selection, so I'm actually going to deselect my mask. So I now have nothing selected. I'm not using a mask, and I'm just going to manually paint in basically with no mask right here to darken that spot. That is too bright. Okay, looking pretty good. I think that this spot should be a little bit darker as well. Remember, I don't have a mask selected. But there's like a little bright spot right there that I don't like. Okay, we're going to go back into our curves to brighten up the image. Patty, no, I have not. The quick rundown of how I organize my images is pretty simple. Every year, here I'll just show you really quick. I have a catalog folder for every year. And for example, I have a Lightroom catalog for the whole year, meaning just random things that I might take a photo of, or I go on a 1-day trip to go shoot some stuff for a video or something like that. That all goes in the 2020 catalog. Then when I go on like a longer trip, 4 or 5 days or whatever, I make a separate folder for just that trip. I know a lot of people don't like doing this. They like having all of their photos in one catalog. But years ago, I found that Lightroom just really slowed down when I had every photo I owned in one catalog. So I started to organize things like this. It also means that when I go on a trip, I offload everything into a new catalog that can be saved on my laptop that can then be backed up on one of my external hard drives. And the workflow there is way easier for me. I think some people do that and then they end up merging it into their main catalog. But for me, this is just how I've liked to organize it. I could see someone easily just having a catalog for the whole year and then organizing their trips in there. That would be perfectly reasonable as well. But this is how I like to do it, just because it helps me keep things organized. The downside and caveat to it is that when I go to back things up, I have to remember what I've changed in each catalog rather than just being able to drag and drop an entire catalog of folders or images. But that's the quick gist of it. I do plan on doing a workflow video on file handling in terms of from start to finish, like while I'm out in the field, I offload all my images onto my computer. Then I back up all those images onto an external hard drive. And then once a week, I back up those images onto a second external hard drive. And then when I come home, I put them all on a network storage that is in RAID 6. And then that network storage also syncs them to the cloud. I plan on doing a video on that. Probably a 2-part video. An in the field thing and then how I back up my data. But that is the quick answer to that question. Hope it helps. It probably sounds a little bit serious, but I think when you're at the point that I'm at, I have to kind of be a little bit more cautious with all my stuff. What else do I want to do this image? I don't know. I definitely feel like if I wasn't streaming, this would be the time I walk away from the image and come back with fresh eyes. So I think for now I'm going to hit save, which I should have done a long time ago because if something happened, I would have lost. I would have lost literally all of that focus stacking that I was doing. And it's very bad practice to not save often when you have something like that. So don't follow my rule there. Just glad I saved now. I'm going to take this back into Lightroom really quick and just see how it looks with a few adjustments. Again, not totally in love with this photo. I think the idea was good. And I talk about this in the video, so I don't want to spoil too much. But I still need to content aware this. I really like the textures in the tree. I tried to put a spin on a composition that's taken pretty often. I don't think it worked because I think it's just too busy. So if I'm covering up the screen as if you could see it, but if this entire section right here was a little less busy and there was more focus or more pronunciation on all the textures in the tree plus the background, it would have been better. I think that if I were to go back and do it, I would have shot lower so that this entire mid-ground section takes up less space in the photo, where you would just have the background of these peaks and this as the whole image. I think that would have looked better. Yeah, typically, so it's funny, when I work in Premiere, I save all the time. As somebody that's been video editing for 15 years, you learn very quickly that Premiere will crash at least once a day, and you just get used to saving all the time. All the time. Okay, so let's do a few quick things here. Maybe I should have done some color profiling things before I took it in, but let's bring up blue saturation. I'm actually going to bring the shadows down a smidge. Let's add strong contrast. Let's bring up the whites a little bit. And it's looking a little bit too, yeah. Let's just add a radio filter really quick. And again, a lot of these adjustments, I'm just seeing what the potential of the photo is. So I want to bring up the whites a little bit here. This is a bit too bright for me, so I need to realize that when I go back in. Dehaze is going to add some micro contrast to the image. I definitely am not liking how the background looks. It's definitely way too, what is going on there? Let's bring the whites down of the whole image. Saturation down a little bit. I do not like how this looks. So need to think about that. I think that looks good. Just do not like how blown out it looked. Let's bring the saturation down of the top part as well. Should help a little bit. And bring the whites back up of the image. Probably don't need to bring, yeah. Let's bring the textures up since that's kind of what this photo is going for. It's a bit too dark at the moment. Again, I'm just kind of good at preliminary. So let's brighten up the whole image. I'm actually going to do this in reverse, how I had it. I'm going to darken the whole image with this filter. Something like this should be good. And take off invert. And then darken the whole image. I'm just trying to get an idea of how this looks. Now I can bring up the whites a little bit more. Bring up the shadows a little bit. And yeah, that's, I guess, a good idea of how the image is going to end up looking. What the heck is this? Where's that spot? I see a spot that's not... It's so funny. I'm looking at this little sharpening thing, and there's a spot where I didn't do the focus stack blend. Great. See, when I add that sharpening in, you can see the edges a lot more pronounced. So all those blurry little edges that I did not spend enough time on get more and more pronounced as, you know, as you do them quickly. You can see it right here that I did not spend enough time in this area. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening with this image is I'm not in love with it. It's good enough to put in the video because obviously I took it in the video, and not every photo is ever going to come out. I will say that this is probably an image I would have never edited if it wasn't for shooting the video. I wasn't in love with it enough to sit there and tediously do what I did. But because there is a video and I want to be able to present an image in the video, it gives me more incentive to do an edit, which is why I did. So all of that being said, I'm probably not going to go back and worry about all these edges. I might even talk about it in the video. I will probably just present the image like it is right now, close to it. I might go back in and do some more stuff in Photoshop and get it looking a little bit better. But I think in terms of the actual focus stack, the image is not worth more of my time for that kind of thing. Just because, again, I'm not in love with it. I think that it turned out okay. I definitely think there's some more things I can do to it to help. Like darkening up the foreground a little bit more. There's definitely things I can do to help. But I'm not totally like, oh, I need to spend, 6 more hours on this because it's perfect. So the conditions weren't great. There was no clouds in the sky, that kind of thing. So I don't think it looks bad, but I definitely am not going to go through and try to meticulously. I mean, you guys should be able to even see this through YouTube. Some of these edges here that we tried to quickly, paint through or whatever, are showing up. Some of them look pretty good. All of this area looks fine. I could definitely see an area here. All of this looks bad. This looks bad. This looks bad. But that gives you an idea of how long it can take to go through and manually do that. Photoshop. Yeah, I think they're both 2021. Oh yeah, Falco, I'm pretty sure that I used to say that all the time. I was like, this photo is probably good enough for Instagram. And that's why I said before, I could just use the autofocus stack thing in Photoshop and post it to Instagram and no one's ever going to know. But that's not how I work. I tend to, even if I'm posting Instagram, I tend to try to finish the edit to the point where I'm like, if someone ever requested me to print this, I still could. So this particular image, for example, I don't know if I would ever post to Instagram for that reason. Maybe I would end up posting it for the educational purposes because of this video. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think the image is okay. I probably need to straighten the horizon a little bit. And like I said, I'll probably go in and spend a little bit more time doing some dodging and burning in here. But overall, I'm not, it's not something I'm in love with, and I don't think I'm going to spend much more time trying to fix all of those spots in the focal plane. But with that said, I have to leave soon, so I'm just going to talk for a couple minutes if you guys have any more questions and just hang out. I appreciate you being patient with me through this edit. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. We learned something about the auto stacking in Photoshop and selecting that auto blend tones and stuff. I will say the thing I still hate, and it's probably why I will continue to not use the auto blend thing from Photoshop, is I really wish, and I'm going to show you really quick, I really wish that, I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. So let's get those I painted in. I wish that it knows that this image above this one is the part that's in focus. I wish that it didn't mask out that part of the image below it. So even though if I were to mask in this section right here, oops, let's get 100%. Even if I were to mask in this section of the image like this, and this image that goes on top of it means that it's not going to be used. I wish that Photoshop just didn't mask out the non-focus. Like, I wish it knew that any layer below the one that's above it, it just filled in the whole thing. Because what happens is if I go in here and try to fix this blend, and I'm trying to fix let's say I go down here, and I'm trying to fix a blend between these two areas right here, and I start fixing something, because this layer is all disappeared for all right here, I have to now go into this layer and also paint in everything here to blend it. I wish it did not do that. I wish that it built upon the image that was most in focus at the top, and then kept the masks inclusive of what it's already masked out for the top layer. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but I hope that makes sense. I hate that it basically, the TLDR is I hate that it blends out even the parts that are out of focus, even though the image on top of it is replacing it anyways. And I wish it did not do that, and it's one of the reasons why I think just manually doing it is better. Yeah, I agree. Like, for example, I guess the best example to explain it is they even had a mask on the background layer, this one, which is all I care about in terms of focus was all the grass in this background. And there's never a reason to ever do that. Your bottom layer should always just be fully in, and then you should paint in all the focus spots on top of it, right? There's no reason to ever mask out the bottom layer, because you're building upon that by adding things that are in focus. So I hope that makes sense. Again, I know it's kind of hard to explain, but I wish that was better. If you guys have any questions, I have to leave in probably 5 minutes. No, I should probably I'll say 3 minutes. So I know there's only 16 of you here. I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out and sitting through that. Again, I know a lot of you guys are here, are members already, but if you have interest, the Discord channel has been super cool lately. There's editing help. People are asking questions. I added a photo share thing where people can share their photos. I shared some photos on here from stuff you guys haven't seen yet that I'm scrolling through now. A lot of cool stuff. You just hit the join button that's on the channel. You don't have to remain a member. You just get lifetime access to the Discord. I really just want more people on there. So if you're interested, please sign up. You can also email me if you have any questions. Been active every day. Pretty sweet. I really appreciate all the people that are on there. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, exactly, Billin. It's hard to explain, but I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that anyone has used this trying to blend the layers or fix the layers between would know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, the panorama blending when it does the masks, I also hate it. I wish it just basically built upon one photo in the same way. So, hey, thanks for joining, Stu. Thanks for everyone that's here, even if you're not chatting. I appreciate you joining in and sitting through the monotony of this, trying to focal blend this. You saw how long it took, and I mean, honestly, the results weren't even that fantastic. I'd have to go through and, I mean, to be completely honest, I would probably just start over. I think I would just manually blend this because it's really hard to work with the auto blend one because I don't know what I've done yet. So if I were to do it manually, I could go through each step and know exactly, okay, this photo is done. Let's move to the next focal plane. But in this process, I was just going through and trying to basically patch and fix all of the areas that were a problem. So, hey, thank you, Falco. Of course, man. I appreciate it. Well, with that said, I hope everyone has a good day. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining in. And again, hit the join button, listen to my video if you want to. It would be great to have you on the Discord if you're not already. I appreciate all the support and chat and everything like that. I think I'm going to end the stream there. Hey, thanks for joining, Bill. I think I'll have a stream next week. I should at least. So I'll see you